Well, hello there. I'm Lexi, and this is the Prodigal's Purpose podcast. Now, today we're going to talk about something that I am very thorough in, and not in a professional sense, but more so in I professionally practice this a ton. And we are going to talk about therapy and how that affects or influences your faith journey as well. Because sometimes those two things kind of seem like they shouldn't go together, or you have to pick one or the other to do it right. In my experience, you need both. So I want to talk about theology and I want to talk about therapy and how they go hand in hand and how they have worked and benefited for me. Again, I'm a medical professional or trained in the field. I'm also not a pope and a spiritual director, so please do not quote me on anything. I just think sharing one's experiences and how we've encountered Christ in different avenues and facets of our lives, because life can be messy, is really important to explore. And so that's why I chose this topic for today. I just want to share my journey in it and how I've found a lot of healing and growth with both of them in my life. So first off, my first view of therapy, I would say growing up, I didn't really get it, or it wasn't really talked about as much as it is today. I feel like the awareness of mental health is huge. And going to a therapist is like going to your favorite coffee shop. I think a lot of people do it now, which is awesome. I think everybody should try it at some point. But when I was younger, I didn't really get it or understand it, even though I did partake when I was little. But then once I became an adult, like teenage adult, really I was just a big old baby, but like college age Lexi, I had a lot of shame in it. And I felt kind of embarrassed to want to continue to explore that, or to feel like I had to explore that. So when I was little, my parents co-parented. They were not together, and my mom was my primary caregiver. And I'm very blessed. My mom actually went to school in psychology and understood the benefits of therapy when people go through traumatic experiences or hardships. And so I'm really blessed to have had somebody, especially a parental role in my life, be so fluent in like mental health lingo and practices that when I was about 6, I would say I started going to therapy, and it was more so in a as needed basis. It was hard. I lived in a small town, and so I had to like drive into a bigger city to go to these appointments. And it was more so for me transitioning and navigating two different households. My parents divorced, different parenting styles. It was just really hard when I was little to communicate what I needed or wanted or experienced. And so I did that. And I definitely think there were some fruits to it. I think it helped my mom know what I needed as a child and allowed her to figure out better practices to parent me through that time. I will say, with my little peanut brain, since I went kind of on an as-need basis, I felt like I didn't fully understand the benefits. I also don't think I fully absorbed all the practices. It was more so like, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And understanding your like emotional regulation, or like ways to express your emotions about hard situations, especially like adult situations. But it wasn't like, okay, Lexi, you have therapy homework. You need to, blah, 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 you know? And so I think it helped my family dynamic a lot. But as a person, little person, I think it was more so putting a Band-Aid on wounds I didn't even know I had yet because I was so little. And that went on from like 6 to 14. So I had one therapist, a family therapist. And then when I went into high school, I fell into a deep depression, and I had some situational things that kind of led to me being in a really rough mental space. And I kind of felt like I had outgrown my family therapist. I also, because I had so many sessions with a parent, I think I felt like she was going to tattle on my mom, which she didn't. I just created this super aggressive, stupid narrative that she wasn't on Team Lex, even though she was my therapist. And so I would say high school, I started to explore different therapists. And I will say with therapy, it's kind of like speed dating, or just dating in general, not even speed dating, where you have to find your fit. Okay? Like you are Cinderella and your therapist is your slipper. And you might find one that's a size 10, you might find one that's a size 7, really you're a 9.5. And it's going to take some trying on some shoes to figure it out. So if you have never explored therapy and you do it and it doesn't feel right or it doesn't feel good, don't be a turkey and call it quits. Like, I would see them one or two times, maybe explicitly know what your goals are, why you're there, and you will find your perfect fit eventually, but it isn't just a one and done deal. I think some people think that too. Also, some people think, oh, I need one session and then my life's magically fixed. I also don't believe in that, but we'll get there later. Either way, throughout high school, I just kept trying to find a good fit, and there were certain therapists for certain aspects or facets of my life that like were greatly beneficial and helpful, but no ride or die connections. And then when I went to college, I believed that since I graduated not only high school, but all of my mental problems, and just like pranced on down to college like a fool. In college, it wasn't as much depression as it was like major anxiety. And the campus offered a free therapist. And so I went kind of bi-weekly, especially my sophomore year. And she was really great on like the practicality of therapy of, okay, when we're feeling anxious, what are some coping skills we can do? Or what are some healthy things we can do so we don't spiral? And at that point, I think like mental maturity wise, that's what I needed most. I don't think I was ready to really divulge all the things going on in my life and all the hard parts of my life that I just packed away and put in my closet and didn't want to look at yet. Yeah, still unpacking that crap, but continuing. I found some good coping skills and practices. I still wasn't cured or perfect yet. And I think when I got home from college was when I truly made the pursuit of therapy my own. Because I think I'm a stubborn girly and I'm a stupid girly. And so if my mom tells me that the sky is blue, I was in such an angsty phase where I'm like, no, it is literally any color except blue. And so my mom recommended therapy to me so much that because my life wasn't magically fixed at the wave of a wand like Cinderella, I was just like, well, then the whole entire practice and thing is exactly terrible and will never fix me and I don't like it and blah, 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 blah. And only crazy people go to therapy. I'm the craziest one of them all. So I think I was really defiant in the high school era and even the college era, Lexi, that I wasn't fully willing to like navigate it myself. And so when I got back from college, my mom continued to nudge me of like, I really think therapy would be good for you. So I found she's actually Catholic, and it was like an accidental Catholic. Like I learned through therapy that she was Catholic. I found this therapist and she did a really good job checking my perspective on life, because the way I had processed situations, I always just did worst case scenario. If somebody glared at me at the grocery store, they hated me and they will always hate me. And yeah, I just was like sometimes irrational in like anxious social settings. And so she did a really good job breaking that down. Started to unpack some things from my past, but like tippy-toey because I wasn't ready yet. And we met bi-weekly, but that was really good for me. And then literally the week I met up to her till the week my dad died. And then when my dad, Matt, passed away, I just didn't want to talk to anybody, that I completely cut it off. And this is where grief took over, and it was just a really hard time in my life. That for probably like, it feels like 8 or 9 months, I grieved in a really unhealthy way. And I don't want to unpack all that yet. But eventually, I found my current therapist, and I have been seeing her pretty much weekly since then. And so that's my journey with therapy, and I just want to say that just so you understand. I've experienced a lot of it. I've experienced the therapist where you're like, I just don't think we're a good vibe. I've experienced outgrowing a therapist, and I've experienced having different needs with different therapists. And it's all good, but it's also all okay. If you haven't had a magical moment or experience in therapy, that's normal. And I would argue most people who preach therapy would say the same thing. Yeah, it wasn't just perfection that first session and I was cured after 2 visits or anything like that. It's just good to be honest with, you know what, they helped me in this area, but now I want to focus on this area of my life. And so maybe I should look for someone else who has a better understanding of that goal for me. And also just knowing like, wow, I don't think this is a good fit, and not giving up on the concept of it all and still trying to stay optimistic and proactive about it, because I am also a one and done girly where I just would call it quits and thought the whole thing was terrible. And that's like trying to learn basketball in one day, and because you can't make 3-pointers, you just quit the sport entirely. That's stupid. And I think sometimes with our mental health, we don't have that same viewpoint of like practice makes perfect, or like fail forward, of like when you mess up or you make a mistake or you don't like how it's going, you don't just throw it in the dump. You look at it, see what needs more attention, and go from there, you know? And I think in relationships, we're really good at like, okay, how can we like make this better? Like, how can we resolve this? But what about a relationship with yourself? Like, why would you not put that same investment and time and perseverance in something hard as working on yourself? With I would argue is probably the hardest thing to do in your life, is to be honest with yourself and work on yourself, or see that you need help outside yourself. It's not fun. It's really hard. So I think we need to put in just as much effort into ourselves as we do others too. And I think that's a huge part of therapy. When I was in my angry college era, I really struggled accepting that my mental health wasn't 100%, because this was when social media was popping off. Everybody's lives was perfect, rainbow, and a highlight reel, and I didn't feel that way. And so I really was hard on myself, critiqued myself a little too much, wasn't very kind to Lexi, and my mental health was just at a low. I wasn't dealing with things, I was shoving it all down, and I was just kind of an angry person, but I did not want to label mental health as a part of it or a priority in it. And so another thing I want to talk about is spiritual direction, or like incorporating your faith into this concept of therapy. So spiritual direction is somebody who is older, more mature, usually a religious is a really good person, but somebody a little bit further down in their faith journey that can kind of mentor you and help you break down what God might be calling you, or what might be lacking in your faith that you can do to follow God's will better. It's like a coach. Like everybody has like life coaches now. It's like a God coach, it's like a spiritual coach. And I can't believe we don't do this more. But I had a spiritual director at the time while I was like anti-therapy in this era. And I remember I called him and I was just so angry. And I said, I'm not a crazy person. Like crazy people, I'm saying all the wrong things, so just don't judge me too hard. Crazy people need therapy. Like I don't need therapy, and I don't want to be like mentally broken and gross, and like what if they say I need like medication? Like I don't want to be living on a pill forever. Like this is stupid. Like I don't want that. And I was just going off and off and off and off and off. And he's so patient with me, which any spiritual director like needs like 3 cups of patience to deal with Lexi when I'm on my tangents. And he waited till I stopped talking, and he said, okay, say your friend is having a hard time seeing things. Okay, she keeps squinting. She's not enjoying movies. When she drives, you say an extra Hail Mary because you don't know if she sees that stop sign or not. Like her vision's getting a little blurry. Life happens, right? What would you tell your friend to do? I'm like, the idiot needs to go to an optometrist and get some friggin' glasses, get some contacts, get LASIK, something. He's like, okay, like it's a no-duh situation, right? I'm like, duh. And he goes, and do you think she's a lesser person, or do you judge her, or do you think something's stupid or wrong with her? And she's like not that great if she needs something like that. And I'm like, she can't help it. And he's like, why don't you say the same about yourself? The way you love and view your friend is the way God views you and your current struggles. If you're having a hard time and you don't know how to divulge it and unpack it, what's wrong with seeking help so you can live a better life? He's like, and what if someday, you need medication? People have heart conditions and need to take medication every day. We don't judge them. Why, if you need medication to help you, why would people be judging you? And I just kind of sat there humbled. I'm like, oh, snap. He got me. And I think having that nudge, especially from somebody who is kind of like the face of the church to me, really helped me with my like Catholic guilt or Catholic shame, because I kind of thought maybe I could outpray this. If I say enough Hail Marys, like then God will answer my prayers, and then poof, my struggles will be gone. And you can't outpray something you haven't processed. You can't outpray something you haven't processed. And it can't be one or it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can invite Jesus into the process and he can help heal you. But I used to think I was a bad Catholic for needing that kind of help, when really it could lead me to live my faith more fully if I am truly, healing my wounds in this way. I think if I only relied on my faith and not actual healing, I think I would get really frustrated, and I think I would blame a lot of things on God, and I honestly think I would be a little bit in a woe is me pity party, because Jesus grows and gets so close to us when we ask him into our healing, and that intimacy and those experiences that I've had with him through my healing journey, I would never trade. It's deepened my faith because I've found tools to help me truly be open in my brokenness, to help be honest and be authentic to Christ, of laying it out of it's all here and I don't know what to do with it. And these are the tools that I have of being able to get to that place where I break it open. But then with my faith, I can invite Jesus in. Whereas if I only pursued healing without Christ, I think I would go crazy, because I would almost make myself my God of, well, I just need to do these practices and I just need to do this, and the more I go, the better I'll be, and that I will almost make myself my God, or almost make myself my healer, that I'm going to let myself down every time. And I don't think I'd be fully healed, and I think I would fire myself because I'm not getting the end results I wanted, because only Jesus can provide that kind of healing that we all desire. And so that's why these two things that sometimes people think butt heads really are so cohesive and go together. And I don't want there to be a stigma or a stereotype to either. I want there to be more confidence in, I need both. I need Jesus and I need therapy. I need someone in the flesh walking through a situation with me and helping me pinpoint the facts, address and name my fears or my struggles. And then that way I know what I need to take to Christ. It's so awesome. It's like a part one, part two. It makes the whole picture come together. I would love to challenge people's view of therapy and spiritual direction or our faith in that way. I've broken it down to some bullets of why I need, and maybe you can feel this too, maybe it applies to you, of why I need both my faith and why I need therapy. Okay? So I'm just going to break down why we need both. Therapy does a really good job of focusing on our mind and emotions, whereas our faith focuses on guiding and directing our soul. Now, with your mind and emotions, sometimes we have impulsive thoughts. Sometimes we have quick emotional reactions that are kind of knee jerks, or kind of wow, I didn't think this would make me cry, or why am I fixated on this certain part? And I think therapy does a good job breaking it down and getting to the root of those things. But I also think we need to address our soul and our faith and see what in our spiritual life needs some nurturing or things being addressed. And so when you address your mind and your emotions, you can get deeper into what your soul is really hungry for and needs, and then be able to grow and heal in that way. I also think it's just too important of who you are. God didn't make you just this shell of a man with a body that's going to rot and die and be worm food eventually. And you're not just some ghosty who's floating around and your body doesn't matter. You are both mind and soul. And I love that about us. It's what gives us our intellect, our free will. Our soul gives us that connection to Christ and our spirituality. We need to take care of both. I think sometimes when we're in the world, it's really easy to be like, okay, I need to work on my diet, I need to exercise, I need to work on my mindset. But they both go hand in hand, because you are both. I'm not just my body, I'm not just my soul, I am body and soul. And that's how God made me, and it's good. It's good. It's messy, but it's good. And so we need to take care of both of those as well. I will also say I am a very black and white person, okay? I see things for what they are, and then I overthink them for about 5 days, and then I try to unpack it in therapy. That's just who I am. I absorb and I take in everything. I'm a very literal person. And so with therapy, I do love that they give me specific tools and help me create boundaries for myself or for myself with others, and help me learn ways to regulate my emotions in difficult times and be able to name what the source is or where those things come from. I love having literal, hardcore, just break it down tools for myself. And I love that with my faith, because not only do I have these tools to help me more healthily process and analyze and break things down and have lesser moments of low and hard and hurt, but also it helps me name those things in what is truly bothering me to my core and being able to lay it down to Christ of like, you know what, that is a big insecurity for me. And then in prayer, I can say, Jesus, I ask that you come and heal me in this way, especially with the lies that I've been telling myself of these certain insecurities. Remind me I am yours. Remind me I am good. Remind me I am a daughter in Christ and made in your image. And give me that healing that I so desire and help me carry this cross. I wouldn't be able to lay that at Jesus' feet if I didn't know what was the root of my problem and what I was dealing with. So having those literal tools to break down and then be able to apply them in my faith have been revolutionary in this. I will also say, especially as a person who really struggles with their past, therapy has really helped me answer and break down what happened to me or why did I make this choice. Whereas my faith helps me understand or ask, where is God in this? Because as I've said, I should win the Guinness World Record of overthinking and overanalyzing. And, sorry. I just had therapy today. So this is like so fresh and so good, but it's also just good to just see the authenticness of this because I'm tearing up. I am an overthinker. And something I'm really working on is I am really hard on myself. And I think we all are. And I think some days it's just really hard to be human. And some days it's really hard to look back at the mistakes we've made and the choices we've made. Especially when maybe you feel, it might not be true, but maybe when you feel like these choices led me to where I am today. And I don't, in this moment, feel like I'm living my happily ever after. I don't know, I've just gotten kind of stuck in this blame game of like, I deserve this. Like, I'm not perfect and I haven't always been nice and I haven't always been good or made the smartest choices in life because I'm not perfect. But then I just get into this really mean headspace where I think I deserve it. Like, I deserve to not be happy or I deserve to be treated this way or that way. And, that's just not true. We all make mistakes, and I know that, but everybody deserves to feel loved and everybody deserves to find happiness wherever it comes in whatever way it comes. And so those moments can be really low and hard, and it's really easy to just spiral. And I used to have to deal with, like, that was my reality of, like, Lexi, you deserve this. Like, you should be in this space. You should not get all the things you've been praying for, and, and it's just sad. And now that I'm able to address, like, that's not true. I am not my past and I'm not my mistakes, especially like with the sacrament of like confession and spending time in prayer and adoration with God and just talking with him. But I also will say that in those lower times or in those harder moments or when I am looking in the mirror at the choices I've made that led me here, I see God in it all. And not like God is like in the background like, wah ha ha, she deserves it. But just I've felt really alone in those moments and I never was alone. And in those times of brokenness and in those times of struggle, because I let God in and I gave it to him, he's been able to really heal me, even though it doesn't look it. And he's also been able to show me how I'm not the only one that goes through this and that maybe I'm experiencing this and experiencing his mercy so that way when I see someone I love or a friend going through a similar hard time, I can give them some encouragement and some hope and maybe some tools as to what God and therapy have shown me to help them find their healing with Christ sooner too. Because life is hard. Life is really tricky sometimes. It's still good and it's still fun and it's still beautiful, but like we need to take a minute and just say it's tough, And I will say something that's been really healing for me is, I take what I've been struggling with in therapy and I like to journal. So I like write it down and I will sit in prayer with God with it. And sometimes it's harder than other times, but that's been really fruitful for me. Confession is also really beautiful, especially if you're struggling with your past or sins or decisions you made, taking that directly to Christ through confession. And don't be afraid in confession to literally like ask the priests for their spiritual direction and advice too. Sometimes people are like, I just got to say my list. I got to get out of here. No, like after you confess, you can literally say, and Father, I have been really struggling with XYZ. Is there something you recommend I can do, or what my approach should be to God in this area, or some practices I could? And they love it. They love it. That's what they're here for. So you can also get quick little like drive through spiritual direction in the confessional as well. And I also think scripture is beautiful. I'm a tangible person, and so seeing like God's words being spoken to me or being spoken through a story of somebody going through a hard time too, that can be super healing and reflective as well with whatever I was discussing or working on in therapy. Now, these are just like the things like I need to make sure you know this from this episode. This is what I've prayed about, and just addressing some of my old fears as a Catholic that needed therapy. And maybe just if you're like, I don't know if this is real, these are just some takeaways I hope you have. You're not weak or unloved or not good enough just because you need help. Newsflash, you're a human, and everybody has a hard time, whether we lie to ourselves or not. Everybody needs help, and needing help doesn't make you worse. And number 2, you can love Jesus and have a therapist. It's okay. You're not cheating on one or the other or anything. And my therapist I actually don't know what she is, whether she's Catholic or Christian, but I have emphasized with her how important my faith is. And so she does a beautiful job of incorporating, like, have you prayed about it lately, Lexi? Like, I think, you get a lot of healing out of prayer. I mean, this girly pop loves incorporating Jesus because she is such a good therapist in knowing what my needs and desires are. And Jesus just wants you to be happy and just wants you to know how loved you are and just wants you to be healed. And he wants to help you in any way, shape, or form he can. But we also are people. And sometimes, this is why confession is so impactful. Sometimes it's just good to audibly sit in front of a person and hear that you're enough and get that advice and that extra oomph that you need when you really feel like you can't find it anywhere in the world. Prayer and processing are not competitors, they're companions, okay? I think I do my best processing after therapy when I pray about it. So doing those together is a really great tool as well. And then I would just encourage you to get curious and to start where you feel most comfortable. Some people are too nervous to make an appointment yet. That's fine. Maybe just do some journaling. And through journaling, you see, you know what? I've seen this problem come up multiple areas. Maybe this is what I want to work on. There's some spiritual books or some self-help books, or maybe you feel more comfortable starting with a spiritual director and then seeing if you want to do therapy. Any of it. I just think if you're curious or if you feel a little tug of like, I might need to explore this more, do it. Life is short. Do it. Just do it. Do it. Do it. What's the worst thing that happens? Oh no, I invested time in myself and I learned that maybe this wasn't the best blah, blah, blah for me. Great, you learned something. It wasn't wasted. If I could go back to my younger self and tell her something about this journey, it's you need both and you need to want it. Just in my own mental health journey, I've had a lot of people who've loved me, who've watched me struggle longer than they probably would have liked to watch me struggle. But I really believe that healing doesn't happen until you want it for yourself. Because no matter how much your family loves you and supports you, you got that free will and you have to make that choice for yourself. I would challenge myself to be honest with myself and to really want it, because when you want something, especially healing, Jesus is literally just sitting there waiting for you to give him the green light. And therapy is so accessible and so much more like open and talked about these days, and it's so accessible. That's the word. Healing is so accessible. Confession, Jesus, therapy, just all of it. Healing is so accessible that you have to truly be honest with, I want this, and I want this so bad that I'm willing to actually do it and put forth the effort. I'm not going to flake on my therapy sessions. I'm not going to skip mass. I'm not going to be dishonest, surface level. I'm going to dig deep in the trenches. It's going to get messy. Your mascara might run a little bit, but girl, so much time wasted where you could feel less alone and have some people by your side cheering you on in your healing journey. Everybody wants that. That's what I would tell my younger self. I also, if you can't tell, I am very much a tough love girly. Little me or past Lexi could totally handle that because big Lexi know how she is, and like you kind of have to like lay it down on her. So if you think I came off harsh, it wasn't directed towards you. It was directed towards little Lexi, who's a stubborn little turd sometimes and doesn't process things the way she should have. Healing doesn't make you less holy. Needing therapy doesn't make you less holy, but it helps you feel the way you are already viewed and loved. But with so much hurt and distraction and pain, I think we take that love for granted. And I will also say that therapy has taught me how to heal, but theology and my faith has taught me how to be truly free from the chains and the hardships and the struggles that we all go through in this world. And so I really feel like this topic of theology and therapy is so important to me because this is all about our journey and embracing our journey. And I'm 29, basically 54, and I am loud and proud telling you I need it weekly. I need it weekly. I know what I am. I need that accountability. I need those visits. I need those check-ins. I need it weekly. And I'm not ashamed of it because I know that this is what I'm called to do, to work on myself, to be the best version of myself. And I know that this will help me clear out the things that are blocking me from living my authentic life the way Christ is calling me to live. And I want to live out my conversion authentically and honestly. And that means I need to work on me. And it's kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I just want to thank you so much for listening. If you got something out of this or feel like a friend might get something out of this, please feel free to share. If you stumbled upon this, welcome. And if you're curious what I'm talking about, I dare you to explore what area of your life you need healing, or maybe what like practical actions God might be calling you in your steps towards healing. I just want to thank you so much, and I want you to know how loved you are, and I want you to know that I'm praying for you in all of our healing journeys, however public or private or messy or clean, or, life's just nuts. Whatever you are in, I just want you to know that healing is always available to you. You just got to want it. And so I want to thank you for being here, and I want to remind you to ponder the purpose, embrace the journey, and live the conversion. Thank you.